As everyone in this country knows, just yesterday, a massive Category 4 hurricane moved up through the Gulf of Mexico, eventually striking and making landfall in Keaton Beach, Florida.
Its fury ripping off this gas station roof.
As this thing roared up our coast, moving at speeds of 18 miles an hour and shelling out over 125-mile-an-hour winds, it changed the lives of people and families every step of the way. Just yesterday, we watched people in Crystal River, Florida, being evacuated from their homes after the storm with an airboat. These evacuations were necessary because their homes were filled with salt water. Not too far up the coast from there, in Steinhatchee, Florida, one of our favorite fishing villages, the winds from Hurricane Idalia literally reversed the flow of the Steinhatchee River. While this river normally flows east to west, dumping into the Gulf of Mexico, the hurricane shoved 10 to 16 feet of storm surge right up the gut of it and overflowing into towns. As we looked at radar, you could see the eye of this storm traveling up the Gulf of Mexico, but at the same time, you could look 400 miles away, all the way over in the Bahamas, and see the winds still spinning. Meanwhile, just a little bit up, 14 miles north of Steinhatchee, Hurricane Idalia makes landfall in a place known as Keaton Beach.
Overnight, Hurricane Idalia grew from a Category 1 hurricane to a monster Category 4 storm. It was a Cat 3 when it hit, winds near 125 miles an hour, and a life-threatening storm surge. Take a look, Idalia making landfall in Florida's Big Bend region.
After bringing a storm surge onshore that's taller than most people's homes, along with winds that pretty much plowed over everything in its way, it proceeded 20 miles north to practically mow down the town of Perry, Florida. Meanwhile, just 40 miles to the east, my parents evacuated their mobile home and went into their garage to wait out this storm. They were extremely blessed. This storm came through and caused no damage with the exception of a bunch of trees falling and a damaged fence line. There's a big difference between what my parents got to do next versus those that fell in this storm's immediate path. There's going to be people sleeping on mud-covered concrete floors in what's left of their business or home for the foreseeable future. No air conditioner, no running water, and no proper sewage. My parents, about an hour or two after the storm passed, moved back into their home where the electricity came on about 5:30 p.m. that night. The next day, which is today as I'm filming this, their lives are back to normal, with the exception of some chainsaw work to do. Here in the Tampa Bay area, a couple hours south of where the storm hit, our kids are now back in school and everything's back to normal. Families in Steinhatchee, Keaton Beach, and Perry are going to be lucky if their kids go back to school by Thanksgiving. But just like the people down in Fort Myers who got pummeled by Hurricane Ian, a Category 5 hurricane, not quite a year ago, life will move on. Sadly, however, because of this natural disaster and ones that happen around the world like it, people's retirement plans will be changed forever. They'll withdraw from their 401ks and other types of funds to deal with this emergency just as you and I would. But for you, I want to introduce you to an idea that'll protect you and your funds in case you need to use them in the event of an emergency. Imagine having access to your funds from your retirement account or one like it in the case of an emergency without disrupting their ability to earn compound interest. You can literally use them to get your life or business back on track regardless of what emergency comes your way. But they will continue to grow in your account just like you never touched them. Guys, the only place I can think of in the world that you can do such a thing is through cash value life insurance. You can borrow from your account 100% tax-free and use it for whatever you need it to during your earning years and let it continue to grow behind the scenes, even when you're using the money for something totally different. And when it's time to retire, you can also access the money 100% tax-free. You see, when people impacted by natural disasters like this or whatever goes on in their life, the minute they pull money from their 401k is the very minute it stops earning interest. And the very minute it stops earning interest is also that same minute where your retirement begins to permanently be impacted. Most people don't look at it from this perspective. Let's have a conversation about protecting your retirement assets so when a life storm passes through your town, it doesn't also take your retirement down with it. In the meantime, I hope you'll join me and my family as we continue to pray for those impacted by this storm. In the next day or so, we're going to stop what we're doing down here and head up there to do our part and help them clean up. Until next time, may God bless you and may God bless those impacted by Hurricane Idalia.